Well, in fact, this is the second year I have the privilege of taking part in this competition, and I can tell you my personal opinion. I think overall the samples are better quality. There are new flavors coming up that shows that farmers are experimenting new processing. So for instance, in the last two rounds of the Robusta competition, we had amazing Robustas with fruity flavors, spicy, minty notes, really outstanding coffees that were not present last year. So this is something more advanced, shows more careful processing, longer fermentation time. So very interesting Robustas. I'm really happy that Robusta is coming up in terms of quality, because it represents most of the coffee production in Vietnam. In terms of Arabica, I think still there is a lot to do. Overall, Arabicas were not very much interesting, not very well processed. They show still woody herbal character that demonstrate the presence of Catimor varieties with improper handling, improper selection, and improper fermentation. So this is normal. It happened in China 10 years ago. It was the same. It happened in Colombia 15 years ago, because Catimors have a different chemical composition. So farmers need to learn how to pick the properly ripe fruit and how to carry out a longer fermentation time, so you can overcome some of the strong woody, resinous, and herbal notes of Catimors. But overall also cleaner cups, better processing, I would say. I will insist on the recommendations I made last year. If we think in terms of the structural changes that we need, I would start with genetic improvement. I think Vietnam needs to invest a lot in genetic improvement to take full advantage of the different environments, different climates you have in Vietnam. So there are good materials. I've been visiting some farms. There are nice flavors, but overall these varietals are not selected. They are mixed. As soon as you mix high quality fruits from specific varieties, you lose that quality. So I think you need to improve genetic materials. You need to select the best performing varieties. Then secondly, I would insist in processing. Robusta in particular has a very different chemical composition. So farmers need to select the very ripe cherry, which is very dark color, like purple color, not red. This is very important for Robusta. Secondly, it has less pulp and less sugar, so the fermentations tend to be very fast. So farmers need to extend the fermentation times through several techniques. Watering, using some sugar molasses, adding some microorganisms perhaps. So you can extend the fermentation times, and you break down some of the bitter, astringent notes in Robusta and increase the complexity of aromas and acidity, which is another shortcoming of Robusta. So this is very important. Selecting, fermenting properly, and drying. Because Robusta has less pulp and less water, you tend to dry too fast. And this shows in past croppish cups. Past croppish is like a dry grass, dry wood. We confronted several cups like this with this problem, because farmers dry too fast. So drying too fast leads to killing the embryo. Coffee is a seed, a living seed. So farmers need to be careful not to dry too fast and not using too high temperatures. So this is also very important. And for drying properly, you need infrastructure. So most of the Robusta, commercial Robusta, is dried on bare ground with no proper care. So we need to scale up new technologies. There are new technologies, solar dryers, greenhouse type solar dryers, which are not expensive. With proper handling, you can build up thousands of solar dryers and sort out this problem. So it's not difficult, it's not expensive. But we need to provide this training, we need to facilitate the access to these technologies to farmers. And finally, I would suggest that we map out the qualities of Vietnam. Vietnam has very interesting Robustas, as we saw in this competition. But still, we are not able to map out where are these coffees coming from, which varieties, what type of processing. So we need to brand Vietnamese fine robustas in a different way, because Vietnam is equal to just bulk, big volumes of robusta. So you need to overcome this kind of prejudice against fine robustas in Vietnam. So there is such a thing as a good quality robustas, and you need to bring information, you need to create imaginative ways to deliver this information to the market.
Now we already found some positive sample. So how we can do more promote Vietnam brands, and also how you recommend to make these events and can attract more overseas roaster or the industry to come and to join us? What is your recommendation?
Very interesting. I think we need to work on marketing. We need to increase the volumes, the number of micro lots. If we receive 24 samples of outstanding quality, let's make it 200 next year. And with 200 micro lots, there will be a lot of interest in Vietnam. So you can create auction system for high quality robustas. You can create, if you have the numbers, you can develop a new contract and forget about the London contract, which is allowing too many defects and is placing a very strong institutional constraint to high quality differentiation in robusta, because robusta is bought and sold with so many defects that it's very difficult to differentiate a product. So we need a new contract. We've been insisting for the past 15 years for countries like Uganda or Indonesia that are blessed with high quality robustas to do it, and they haven't done it. So this is a big opportunity for Vietnam. Let's do it. Let's work on a new contract for high quality robustas. But you need the numbers and you need consistency. Yep. So every year, keep working on this competition and make it into an auction if you have the numbers. But then we need more farmers to get encouraged, to get well trained. So my proposal would be to work 6 months before the next harvest, so you can convince more farmers to get into these trainings, produce amazing micro lots, and then you can have the numbers for an auction.
Thank you once again.
Thank
you
you very much.
Contribution to Vietnam coffee industry and for Robusta.
Thank you. My pleasure.